Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. BISP Solutions is a tech company that provides technical solutions across the world. So welcome to NetSuite manufacturing tutorial. In this video we will explore how to set up NetSuite production process and advanced manufacturing concepts, work in process and routings. So in our previous session we had our learnings on understanding NetSuite manufacturing, setting up manufacturing features, creating locations, bins and inventory, defining bill of material, configuring work orders and routing, and managing work in process. Lastly, costing and production reports. So we should understand firstly that what is manufacturing in NetSuite. So manufacturing in NetSuite helps businesses plan, manage and monitor the production of finished goods from raw materials. It supports various processes like creating work orders, managing inventory and tracking production costs, ensuring that all operations align with business goals. So why is it important? Because it improves production efficiency. It also tracks raw materials and finished goods accurately, and also it provides real-time insights for decision making. So what is manufacturing in NetSuite and why we are doing that? So for better understanding, let's take an example, which is a conversation between Arjun and Ravichandran, the two people. So for example, Arjun, who is the hero in manufacturing in NetSuite only. So it starts with scenario number 1 as new journey begins, where Arjun had just joined ABC Electronics, a company that manufactures smart home devices, and his manager is Mr. Ravichandran. Told him, Arjun, we have been using NetSuite for our financial and inventory, so now it's time to set up the manufacturing module also, and I need your help. So on that, Arjun was excited but also a little nervous. Where do I even start, he said, and he wondered also. So that's when Arjun decided to take it by step, so that Ravichandran get to know it easily and with clarity. So second step he took is understanding the basics of NetSuite manufacturing. So where Arjun learned that NetSuite's manufacturing module helps companies track raw materials and finished goods, create and manage work orders for production, monitor inventory movement during the manufacturing process, and control costs by tracking labor, machine time and overheads. So his first task was to enable manufacturing features in NetSuite. So he took the next step as setting up NetSuite for manufacturing. So Mr. Ravichandran guided Arjun that to start you need to enable the manufacturing features. So Arjun followed these steps like navigation, where he go to setup option. Under setup he goes to company. Under company he get to option of enable features, where in like go to there he has to go to inventory and item tab, where he has to enable work orders, where we will be creating work orders and build assemblies, and WIP and routings, where for managing work in progress with multiple steps, and then we can click on save option. So that was easy. Arjun thought that, but he knew there was much more to do in that particular NetSuite manufacturing module. So he took fourth step as setting up location and bins. So next Arjun had to define where the raw materials and finished goods would be installed. So he have to create a new location, where the navigation states as you have to go to setup option. Under setup we have to go to company. Under company we get our location, and if we want to create a new location, so we can click on new option also. There he have to enter location name, which will be main warehouse, and then click on save option. Then he has to enable bins for inventory management, where again he has to go to setup option. Under setup he has to click accounting. Under accounting he has to click on preferences. Under preferences, he will be getting accounting preferences, where he have to click on items or inventory tab, and he has to enable use bins and save the option. Then assign bins to location, where he has to navigate to list. Under list option, he has to click on locations option. Under location, he has to edit location. Then he has to click on enable use bins and add bins like bin A1 where for raw materials, and bin B2 for finished goods. Next step he took was exploring NetSuite manufacturing module, where Arjun has now ready to explore the manufacturing module. He discovered the NetSuite has two ways to manage production. So first is work orders and assembly, which is ideal for simple production where raw materials are combined into finished products, and WIP and routings, where it is best for complex processes with multiple setup steps where labor and machine time are tracked. So Arjun was ready to explore these processes deeper, but he felt confident that he had laid a strong foundation for the same. Next step was to ready to roll. So with the basic setup done, Arjun felt like a NetSuite pro. So he was excited to move forward and start creating work orders, tracking inventory and managing cost efficiently. So what is next for Arjun? Learning about creating work orders and assemblies, understanding WIP and routings with real-time tracking, and configuring manufacturing preferences to fit the business. So this is what our example or a storyline is. So starting with our types of manufacturing in NetSuite, first is work orders and assembly, which is a basic mode. So it is ideal for simple production process where raw materials are assembled into finished products. So for that we have to follow process like creating a work order, issuing raw materials from inventory, build the assembly item, and record the completion and adjust inventory. Next comes our WIP and routing, which is an advanced mode. So it is suitable for complex manufacturing processes with multiple setup steps and cost, and process includes defining routings that specify production steps, and also it tracks work in progress at each stage, and it allocates labor, machine time and overheads, and it records each stage completion and adjusts inventory accordingly. Next comes key roles and responsibilities in manufacturing. So first is production manager, who oversees production schedules and workflows, manages work orders and ensures timely order fulfillment, and it also monitors resource availability and inventory levels. Then comes our inventory manager, who manages raw materials and finished good inventory, and it also tracks stock levels to prevent shortages or overstock, and it coordinates inventory movement across locations. Next comes our quality control officer, where it ensures that the manufactured goods meet quality standards, conducts inspection and manages defect reporting, and it also monitors compliance with regulatory standards. Lastly, cost accountant, who analyzes production cost and variances, allocates labor, materials and overheads accurately, and prepares reports on cost effectiveness. So manufacturing setup in NetSuite, how it can be done. So first of all, we have to enable manufacturing features in NetSuite. And then we have to set up locations, bins and inventory, which we discussed in our example also. So for enabling manufacturing features, navigation involves setup option. Under setup company, enable features we can click on. Then steps are clicking the items and inventory tab in enabling feature. Then we have to enable work orders for basic assemblies, and work in process and routings for advanced manufacturing, and then we have to save the changes. Then comes our creating locations. So under setting up locations, bins and inventory, we have to create locations. For that same navigations goes like setup. Under setup company option is there, under company locations is there, and under locations new option is there. Then we have to define warehouse or production locations for the same. Next comes our enable bins, where we have to set up the same bins like setup option under setup accounting, and under accounting preferences is there. So we have to go to items or inventory tab, sub tab, which is in enable features options only, and then we have to enable use bins and save the options. Then comes our assign bins to location, where list, under list we get location, under location we can edit location for assigning it to location. Then we have to enable use bins option for that location particularly, and then we have to add the bins and assign items for the same. Next is our item inventory, item and inventory setup, item types, bill of materials and component setup, inventory costing methods, work orders, type of work orders, and creating and managing work orders, and work order status and tracking. So first comes our inventory and item setup. So item types like assembly, inventory, non-inventory. So items are the products or services we sell, purchase, or manage. NetSuite offers different item types, each serving a unique process. Next comes our inventory item. These items are physically stocked and tracked in our inventory, and we can buy, sell, and manage inventory counts also. For example, finished goods, for finished goods, for example furniture, and raw materials like wood, screws, like that. So for that, navigation involves list, under list option accounting is there, and under accounting items is there, and we can create a new item for the same. Next comes our assembly item, where an item that is created by combining multiple inventory or non-inventory item, and it requires a bill of material to define the components. So for example, assemble furniture, which requires wood, screws, and finishing. Navigation involves going to list, under list accounting, under accounting items, and then we can create a new assembly item for the same. And we have to select assembly or bill of materials item for the same. Then comes a non-inventory item, where these items are not tracked as part of inventory but can be bought or sold, and it is common for services for one-time use only. So for example, labor charges, consultancy services, or office supplies. And for that we have to navigate to list, under list accounting option is there, under accounting item is there, where we can create a new non-inventory item. And after navigation we have to select non-inventory item for the same. Next comes our BOM, which is bill of materials and component setup. So let's understand what is BOM, which is bill of material. So a bill of material is a list of components required to build an assembly item, and it also defines the materials and quantities needed to produce a finished product. Then navigation says that we have to go to our list option, under list supply chain is there, under supply chain bill of material is there, and we have to click on new option. Then we have to enter BOM name and description, and after that we have to select the assembly item to link the BOM, and then we have to add components like select component item and defining quantity per assembly which we are requiring, and after that we have to click on save option. After that this is how our bill of material will look like. So if we want to edit BOM, so we have to go to our list option, under list supply chain is there, so clicking on supply chain we have to click on bill of materials, and then we have to select BOM, and then we can edit the same. Then comes our inventory costing method, which is FIFO and LIFO. FIFO is first in first out, where oldest inventory items are sold first, and it is suitable for perishable or time sensitive goods. So for example, if we are buying 10 units at rupees 100 and then 10 units at 120. So the first 10 units sold will be counted at rupees 100. So this is what our FIFO says. And then LIFO, which is last in first out, where the latest inventory items are sold first and rarely used but suitable for products with increasing cost. Next comes our standard costing, where it is predefined cost that remains fixed over a period, and variances between actual and standard cost are recorded separately. Then navigation to set costing method. So we have to go to our setup option. Under setup, accounting is there. Under accounting preferences is there. So we have to click on items or transaction tab in setup option only. Then we have to choose default costing method, which is FIFO, LIFO or standard costing option, and then we have to click on save option. Then work orders overview, where a work order tracks the production of assembly items, whether for stock or to fulfill orders, and it manages the flow of inventory including assembly builds and component back flushing. So types of work orders. First is standard work orders, which is used when creating items that doesn't require complex routing and suitable for simple assemblies or products. Then comes our assembly work orders, where for assembling multiple components to create a finished item requires a BOM. And work in progress, which is WIP work order, used for complex manufacturing processes with multiple stages, and it tracks raw materials, labor and overhead costs also. Then comes our navigation to create work orders. So for that we have to go to transactions. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, we can click on enter work orders and create a new work order for the same. Then comes our creating a work order. So for that we have to click on transaction tab. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, enter work orders and then we can create a new work order for the same. Then we have to click on item and define the quantity which we need in future, and then we have to add components if needed. Then we have to define production date and schedule for the same, and then we have to click on save option. Then comes our managing work orders. So we have to view work orders in transactions. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, we can view work orders, and to modify we can click on edit option also. Then comes our work order statuses and tracking, where work order statuses means planned, where work order created but not released, ready for production, in progress, assembly started, and built or closed, which means work order is completed. Then comes our tracking work orders, where we have to go to transactions option. Under transaction, we will be navigating to manufacturing. Under manufacturing, work order completion is there. We have to click on that particular tab. Then we have to search work orders by status, date or location, and then we have to click on view to see progress or make adjustment for the same. So this is what we have learned in our previous session. So now we will be understanding NetSuite production process, production stages and workflows, routing and operations in manufacturing, scheduling work orders, advanced manufacturing concepts, work in process, WIP and routings, understanding WIP and routing concepts, setting up WIP accounts and costing, and configuring routing and work centers. So starting with our NetSuite production process. So what is the NetSuite production process? So the NetSuite production process is the complete journey of transforming raw materials into finished goods. It involves a series of steps where materials are consumed, operations are performed, and final products are produced and stored in inventory. So in NetSuite, this process is managed using work orders, BOM, which is bill of material, and routings. It ensures that production happens in a structured manner, tracking cost, labor and overhead at every stage. So key stages of the NetSuite production process. first is raw material procurement, where purchase and receive raw materials required for manufacturing, and materials are stored in inventory until needed for production. So the navigation says go to transactions. Under transaction, purchases there, then we have to click on enter purchase order and then new. So for that we have to receive the items into inventory after purchase is done. Then comes our work order creation, where a work order is created to define what item needs to be manufactured, how many units need to be manufactured, and when it needs to be completed. And also it links the BOM, which is bill of material and routing, to specify the components and operations required. Then comes our navigation. So we have to click on transactions. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, enter work orders and then click on new. So after selecting the assembly item and defining the quantity, we have to choose a location and save the work order for the same. Then comes our issuing components to production, where raw materials are moved from inventory and issued to the production process, and this step reduces raw material inventory and moves items to work in process. So for that, navigation involves going to transaction. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, we find issue components, where we have to select the work order and issue the required materials. Then comes our production or assembly process, where production is carried out by following the routing and operations, and each stage of the process is tracked using WIP centers, labor and overhead cost. So for that, navigation involves going to transaction. Under transaction, manufacturing is there, and then we have to click on work order completion, where we have to select the work order and record the progress which is completed. Then inspection and quality check, which means the finished product may undergo a quality check before being transferred to inventory, and quality control helps ensure that defective or incomplete items are identified before closing the work order. Next comes our completion and storage of finished goods, where once production is complete, the finished goods are moved to the inventory and the work order is marked as completed or closed. So for that, navigation involves going to transactions. Under transaction, we have to go to manufacturing. Under manufacturing, work order completion is there, so we have to select the work order and complete the same. Then comes our tracking and costing in production process, where material cost, which means cost of raw materials consumed, labor cost, which means time spent by employees to produce goods, and overhead cost, which means cost related to utilities, machines, etc. is there. Why is the production process important? Because it ensures efficient use of materials, it reduces production errors by maintaining a structured workflow, and it provides accurate cost tracking and inventory management, and it improves decision making through real-time visibility into production status. Next comes our production workflows in NetSuite. So the production process in NetSuite transforms raw materials into finished goods using a step-by-step approach. Each stage involves consuming materials, applying operations, work center tasks, and tracking cost, which means labor, materials, and overhead. Then key production stage is raw materials are procured, then work order is created. So raw materials procurement means purchase and receive raw materials required for manufacturing, and materials are stored in inventory until needed for production. Work order creation, where a work order is created to define what item needs to be manufactured and how many units and when it needs to be completed. and also it links the BOM, which is bill of material, and routing to specify the components and operation required. After that, components to issuance is there. Then comes our production, routing and operations. Which means routing and operations. Then work order is completed. Then comes our inspection quality check, which means the finished goods product may undergo a quality check before being transferred to inventory, and quality control helps ensure that defective or incomplete items are identified before closing the work order is done or not. Okay, after that, close work order is there, where we will be doing once production is completed, the finished goods are moved to inventory and the work order is marked as completed or closed. After that, cost tracking during production is there. So first of all, material cost is there, where the material costing is defined. After that, labor cost are defined, and then overhead cost is tracked during production. Why are production stages and workflows important? So it ensures that all production steps are followed correctly, and it also provides real-time visibility into work order progress, and helps optimizing resource usage and reduce production delays, and it also enables accurate costing and financial reporting. Routing and operations in manufacturing. So what is routing in NetSuite? Routing in NetSuite defines the sequence of operations required to manufacture an item. It also outlines the specific steps involved, the work centers where the tasks are performed, and the time taken for each operation. So in simple terms, routing the roadmap that guides production, and operations the individual tasks or steps performed at each stage. So why is routing important? So it ensures the manufacturing follows a structured and optimized process. It assigns the right tasks to the right work centers for efficient production, and it provides accurate cost estimation by tracking labor, machine and overhead, and it allows better tracking and control of the production process also. Key components of routing in NetSuite. First is operations, where operations are the tasks or activities required to transform raw materials into finished goods. Each operation is linked to a work center where the task is performed. So after that, work centers. A work center is a location or machine where manufacturing operations are performed. Each work center has its own associated labor cost, machine time and overhead cost. Next comes setup time and run time, where setup time, which means time required to prepare the work center for production, and run time, time taken to perform the operation on one unit or batch. Next comes our cost template, where the purpose is to define that the cost per hour for using the work center is there. Components includes labor cost, which means cost of worker time, machine cost, which means cost of using machine, and overhead cost, which means additional indirect cost. So how to create and manage routing in NetSuite? So for that, first we have to create a new routing. For that, we have to navigate through list option. Under list, supply chain is there. Then we have to click on routing, and then we have to click on new option, where clicking on new to create a new routing is there. Next step is to define operations in routing and assigning routing to assembly items. So for defining operations in routing, we have to add operations. Then we have to enter costing details, like defining the cost template to calculate labor and machine cost. Then we have to click on sequence the operation, where we have to ensure operations follow the correct order, and then we have to click on save option. After that, assigning routing to assembly items, where we have to click on navigation, where under list option we get supply chain. Under supply chain, routing is there. Then we have to link to assembly items, where we have to associate the routing with the correct assembly item. Then comes our work order execution using routing. So first of all, we have to create a work order where we have to link the assembly item with the defined routing, and then we have to define the quantity to be produced. Then issue components, where raw materials are issued from inventory to the production floor. Then start production based on routing and complete work order. Issuing components, where raw materials are issued from inventory to the production floor. And navigation involves transaction. Under transaction, manufacturing is there. Under manufacturing, we can issue components. After that, start production based on routing, where each operation in the routing is followed and actual labor and machine time are recorded. After that, completing work order, where it means the final product is moved to inventory after completing all operations. And the navigation involves transactions. Under transaction, we get manufacturing option. Under manufacturing, work order completion is there. Then tracking progress with routing, where NetSuite allows real-time tracking of each operations, helping manufacturers monitor production status and identify bottlenecks, measure actual versus estimated production time, and analyze labor, machine, and overhead cost. Why is routing in operations important? It ensures consistency and accuracy in manufacturing. It reduces production errors by defining structured workflows, and it also improves cost control by tracking labor, machine, and overhead costs. Lastly, it enables real-time visibility and enhances decision making also. So for scheduling work orders in NetSuite, so what is work order scheduling in NetSuite? So work order scheduling in NetSuite ensures that production tasks are completed on time by determining when to start each operation, where the operation will take place, like work center, and how long it will take to complete the operation. So in simple terms, scheduling decides the timeline for completing production tasks, and it optimizes the use of resources like work centers, machines, and labors. So why is work order scheduling important? Because it ensures on-time production and delivery. It prevents bottlenecks and optimizes resource allocation. It improves production efficiency by reducing idle time, and it helps tracks the progress of work order at each stage. Type of work orders scheduling in NetSuite. Forward scheduling. So forward scheduling starts the work order as soon as possible based on available resources, and completion is determined by the time it takes to finish all operations, and it is used when we want to produce goods quickly and minimize idle time. So for example, if a work order is created on March 10th, forward scheduling calculates the completion date based on how each operation takes. Next comes our backward scheduling, which means what is backward scheduling? Backward scheduling, it starts the work order at the latest possible date to meet the delivery deadline, and it also ensures that the product is completed just in time for the shipment or delivery. So it is used when we have a strict delivery deadline and want to optimize inventory usage. So for example, if an order needs to be delivered by March 25th, so backward scheduling calculates when the order should start to meet this deadline also. Then comes our manual scheduling, which means it allows users to manually define start and end dates for work orders, and it is ideal for highly customized or irregular production tasks, and it is used when production timelines are flexible or subject to frequent changes. How to schedule work orders in NetSuite? First, we have to create a work order by entering basic details like assembly item and defining the quantity, choosing the location and link the appropriate routing, and clicking on save option. After that, we have to assign a scheduling method. We have to choose between forward or backward scheduling, and we have to define start or end date. If we are using manual scheduling, enter the desired, and we will enter the desired start and end dates, and then we will be clicking on save option. After that, step 3 was defining operations with routing, where we have to add operations, where we will be defining the sequence of operations and assigning work centers and specify setup runtime, and then we have to save the routing. Next comes our check available capacity, where we will be reviewing work center capacity, where we will be identifying the available time slots for each operation, and then we have to avoid overloading a work center to prevent delays. Then comes our releasing and start work order, where we have to select the work order by clicking on release, and then starting the production process, where we have to work order operations will begin based on the selected schedule. Next comes our tracking work order progress after scheduling, where we have to track work order status, where monitoring real-time progress of each work order is done, and the navigation stays as transaction. Under transaction, we will be finding manufacturing. Under manufacturing, work order completion is there. After that, we have to view production calendar, where we will be seeing a visual timeline of schedule work orders, and the navigation involves list. Under list option, we will be getting supply chain. Under supply chain, we can click on work center calendar for the same. Then comes our update schedule if required. So if there are any changes in the resource or priority, update the schedule for the same, and then navigation, open the work order and adjust dates or operation as needed. Then rescheduling the work orders, where when to reschedule if machine is breakdown or resource unavailability is there, changes in customer deadlines is there, or unexpected delays in raw material delivery, then we can reschedule it. How to reschedule? Firstly, we have to open the work order, then we have to update the start or end date, and then we have to adjust the operation sequence if necessary. So why is work order scheduling important? It prevents production delays and optimizes workflow. It minimizes idle time and maximizes resource utilization, and it improves on-time delivery and customer satisfaction, and it allows for better forecasting and capacity planning. Then comes our advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite. So what are advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite? It means advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite include specialized processes and techniques that improve production efficiency, reduce errors, and enhance visibility throughout the production cycle. So these concepts allow manufacturers to handle complex production workflows, track real-time progress, and ensure seamless integration between work orders, routing, inventory, and costing. Then comes our why are advanced manufacturing concepts important? So it provides greater control over complex production processes, improves accuracy in cost calculation and inventory management, and it optimizes scheduling and resource allocation, and it enhances visibility into production status and performance. Key advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite. So work in process accounting, where what is work in process accounting? It tracks the value of partially completed goods during the manufacturing process. It includes cost related to raw materials, labor, and overhead for work orders that are still in progress. So Why is WIP important? Because it ensures accurate financial reporting, reflects true production cost at any given time, and it helps track and manage production process. So for example, if 1000 units of mobile phones are in the assembly stage and WIP accounts capture the materials, labor and machine cost until the production is made. Then comes our routing and work centers. So what is advanced routing? Advanced routing allows for defining multiple step production processes with detailed instructions, work centers and timing. Each routing step is assigned to a work center where the operation occurs. So why use advanced routing? It handles complex production workflows, tracks actual versus estimated production times, and it improves costing accuracy by assigning labor and machine cost to each step. So for example, for a mobile phone assembly routing, it might include cutting, where work center 1 is doing, assembling work center 2 is doing, and testing it is done by work center 3. So after that, production scheduling optimization. So what is production scheduling optimization? So in NetSuite, it helps schedule work orders to minimize idle time, prevent resource overload, and meeting delivery deadlines. Why is it important? Because it ensures on-time delivery by optimizing production timelines. It prevents bottlenecks by evenly distributing workload, and it maximizes machine and labor utilization also. So production yield and scrap management. So what is production yield? Production yield refers to the percentage of usable output generated during manufacturing compared to the input. So what is scrap management? Scrap management tracks the materials that are wasted or discarded during production. So why they are important? It prevents excess material loss, identifies bottleneck in production processes, and it helps in analyzing production efficiency and reducing cost. So for example, if 1000 units are produced but 50 are defective, so the yield is 95% and 5% is scrap. Then comes our subcontracting and outsourcing. What is subcontracting in NetSuite? So subcontracting allows manufacturers to outsource part of the production process to external vendors. NetSuite tracks these operations and includes the cost in the final product's costing. So why using subcontracting? Because it reduces internal workload and speed up production, and it helps handling specialized processes that require external expertise. So for example, a mobile phone manufacturer may subcontract the testing phase to an external vendor specializing in quality assurance. Then comes our lot and serial number tracking. So what is lot and serial number tracking? So it provides traceability of raw materials and finished goods throughout the supply chain. And why is it important? Because it ensures compliance with industry regulations. It enhances quality control and traceability, and it helps manage recalls effectively. So for example, a batch of mobile phone batteries can be tracked using lot numbers to ensure quality and manage potential recalls. Next comes our how to implement advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite. First, we have to enable advanced manufacturing features in NetSuite. Then we have to configure WIP accounts and costing. Then we have to define routing and work centers. After that, we have to configure lot and serial number tracking. After that, we have to define production yield and scrap tolerance. So why using advanced manufacturing concepts in NetSuite? It enhances production efficiency and reduces cost. It improves accuracy in tracking production progress and cost, and it provides better visibility and traceability across the supply chain. Lastly, ensures compliance with industry standards and regulations. So work in process and routing in NetSuite. So what is work in process in NetSuite? It refers to partially completed products that are still in production stage but not yet finished. It also includes costs related to raw materials, which is materials consumed in production, labor costs, wages and other expenses associated with production staff, and overhead cost, which means machine usage, utilities and other indirect costs are there. So why is WIP important? It provides accurate financial reporting by tracking the value of unfinished goods, helps in managing production timelines and identifying bottlenecks, and it prevents overstatement or understatement of inventory valuations. So how does WIP work in NetSuite? First we have to create a work order, then we have to firstly work order creation is done. It is created to initiate the manufacturing process. So the raw materials, routing and work centers are assigned for work order creation. Then comes our work order release, which means the work order is released and raw materials are consumed as production begins. So the value of consumed materials and labor is captured in WIP. After that, WIP account updates is there, which means as work progresses, cost accumulative in the WIP account. Once the work order is completed, the WIP value is transferred to the finished goods inventory. After that, work order completion is there, where upon completion, NetSuite moves cost from WIP to finished goods and the items are ready for sale or shipment. After that, what are routings in NetSuite? Routing defines the step-by-step process required to manufacture an item. It specifies like sequence of operations, where the order of tasks to be performed, work centers, locations where operations take place, and setup and run times, where time required for each operation is done. So why use routing? It standardizes the production process to ensure quality and consistency. It improves cost accuracy by assigning labor and machine cost, and it tracks progress and identifies delays in manufacturing processes. How to set up WIP and routing in NetSuite? First, enable WIP and routing features in NetSuite. Then defining WIP accounts in NetSuite. Then creating a routing for an item in NetSuite, and after that assigning routing to an assembly item. Then we have to create and release work order for the same. If we want to know tracking in WIP and routing progress, we have to monitor WIP cost, where we will be reviewing cost, where checking materials, labor and overhead costs for each work order is done. Then we have to track work order progress, where we have to track percentage of work completed and remaining tasks is there. And then we have to identify variances, where we will be identifying differences between estimated and actual cost. Then comes our understanding WIP accounts and costing, where WIP inventory account is there, where it holds cost of raw materials, labor and overhead for incomplete work orders. WIP variance account, where it captures the difference between estimated and actual cost. It helps identify inefficiencies in production. And WIP costing method, where FIFO, which is first in first out, which we have discussed in our previous session, where oldest inventory used first, LIFO last in first out, where latest inventory used first, and standard costing, where determined cost applied to production is done. So why are WIP and routings important in NetSuite? It ensures accurate cost tracking for partially completed work orders. Then it improves production efficiency by standardizing routing steps. It also enhances visibility into the progress of manufacturing tasks, and it prevents delays and identifies production bottlenecks also. Setting up WIP accounts and costing in NetSuite. So what is WIP account in NetSuite? it helps in tracking the value of partially completed work orders. It captures the cost of raw materials, labor and overhead that accumulate during the production process. So why it is important? Because it ensures accurate financial reporting by tracking the value of unfinished goods, prevents incorrect valuation of inventory, and also helps in identifying cost variances and inefficiencies in production. So to set up WIP accounts and costing in NetSuite, we have to enable WIP accounting in NetSuite. Then we have to define WIP accounts. Then we have to assign WIP accounts to items. Then we have to defining the costing methods in NetSuite. Then we have to configure BOM for WIP. BOM is bill of material for work in process. Then we have to define work centers and routing for WIP, and then we have to create a work order, and then we have to track the WIP cost. So how to monitor and track WIP accounts in NetSuite? So for that we have to take out the WIP summary report, then manufacturing variance report. After that we have to take out work order status and costing review for the same. So key benefits of proper WIP account setup: it is accurate cost tracking of partially completed work orders, it is better for financial control and error prevention, it improves visibility of production stages and cost, and it identification of variances to minimize inefficiency system. To set up WIP account and costing in NetSuite, we have to enable WIP accounting, which we have discussed in this session only. Then we have to define WIP accounts, then we have to assign WIP accounts to items, then we have to define the BOM for WIP, then defining work centers and routing, and then creating orders and tracking WIP is done. So how can we monitor WIP accounts? We have to navigate to reports. Under reports, inventory or manufacturing is there. Then we have to click on WIP summary. After that, manufacturing variance report. Under reports we have to go to our manufacturing variances. Then tracking work order progress, where transactions under transaction we get manufacturing. Under manufacturing, work order completion is there. So setting up WIP account and costing correctly in NetSuite ensures accurate tracking of production costs, better financial control over unlimited and unfinished goods, identification of variances to improve efficiency. So by following these steps, you can all streamline your manufacturing processes, reduce errors, and ensure precise inventory valuation. Proper WIP configuration not only enhances cost visibility but also helps in making data-driven decisions for improved business performance. So thank you for joining this session. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or require further assistance.